Hey guys, my name is Clarkside and this is my review of Titanfall. After I did a first impressions video, based on playing the beta, I thought I'd give you an update on my thoughts on the finished game. Now that I've leveled up to the 3rd generation, and I'll explain generations very shortly, I feel like I've put some mileage into this game already. Before I get into the finer details, this review is not going to be some kind of all-prophesizing, this game is going to be a COD killer, or the longevity of this game will last until the next Ice Age. It's just my humble opinion about what I like or don't like about the game right now. So, pressing on. The gameplay. The fusion of mech combat and infantry gunplay may have been done before in other sci-fi shooters, but never before has a game felt so balanced with the two. And what Respawn have done with the parkour and wall running side of things, they've created something truly original. In a world of samey first person shooters, it's refreshing to play something this revolutionary. For game modes there's Attrition, which is a team deathmatch where points are scored for pilot, Titan and AI kills, Hardpoint, which is fighting over control of 3 objectives on the map, Capture the Flag, which doesn't need much explanation, the only difference to other FPSs is that it has Titans. Then there's Pilot Hunter, where the only points scored are for pilot kills, and Last Titan Standing, which is played in rounds, where it's the first team to win 4 rounds of wiping out the opposing team's Titans. Last but not least, there's the campaign multiplayer. Possibly one of the most hotly debated features about the game. I was going to say issue, but it's really not an issue if you ask me. Yes, I was more stoked about it than I should have been, and it was a missed opportunity in some ways. However, I do appreciate Respawn trying something new here. Personally, I like it. The in-game narration helps to build the lore of the universe and explain the background story of the levels, but in all the chaos of a fast-paced game like Titanfall, it's easy to tune out or miss some of the cinematic events that drive the story. Just to flip that slightly negative point around into a positive, I think this gives the campaign multiplayer more replay value. I've played through as each side, the Militia and the IMC a few times, and I notice something new each time I play. Normally, the single player campaign is something that people play once or twice and then they forget about it in favour of the multiplayer. I happen to like the map rotation for the multiplayer campaign and will be playing it for that alone. One area I would have improved on heavily though is picking your faction. Jaxondale, the guy that runs the Titanfall Legends channel, made an excellent point about how we'd all feel more immersed as players if there was some real implications to choosing a side as IMC or the Militia. In an intro mission for the campaign, you could start off as playing as a civilian with an impartial view of the two factions. You get thrown into the midst of the conflict and you have to pick a side in order to survive. You play through as that faction and by the end of the campaign you pick your side for the multiplayer. I'll let Jaxondale fill you in on all the finer details as it's his idea, and I'll link to his video down below. Next I want to talk about the player count. I stand by my previous video for saying how I feel this game feels balanced with 6v6. Sure, some of the larger maps do take you out of the action sometimes if you're respawned on the opposite side of the map, but this is where the map design shines. I've not once found myself or my team spawn trapped. Sure, there's been times that I've been unlucky enough to respawn and die almost instantly, but you show me a game with perfect spawn points. There's only been a few matches that I've played where an exceptionally good team were able to lock down most of the map by picking their camping spots on rooftops, but that all changes as soon as Titans start falling. When there's a full team of 6v6 in Titans, there's nearly always opportunity to move around, to outflank the enemy, and in one of my favourite tactics, use my Auto Titan as a distraction while I sneak up on the campers on rooftops. As I've already mentioned it in passing, this leads me on to the level design. The art team at Respawn really deserve one Titan-sized pat on the back here. Each level feels different to the last, with its own unique colour palette and ambience. From colonies built around downed spaceships, to deserted outposts via industrial complexes and robot factories, every effort has been made to make this universe feel expansive, and the finer details within each map flesh out the history of the IMC and Militia. The maps that have some kind of association with the Militia feel homely and warm, whereas the IMC controlled areas feel cold and harsh, with a few exceptions here and there. If I was to pick a side, I would sympathise with the Militia more. I do love a good story of rebellion and supporting a good cause. Even though I've talked about this next section in a previous video, I'd like to talk about the AI a little bit. I'm going to throw my hands up and say I'm not as pro AI as I was in my last video. Yes, I still think they're an integral part to the game, but I do think they could do with a bit of a buff. I'm surprised that after all the fuss over the bots, that Respawn haven't made them even just the slightest bit more challenging. I usually farm as many as I can in the early stages of the match, and then once I've got my Titan, I'll rarely even bother shooting at them. Instead, I'll choose my path around the map to crush as many as I can on my way through. It's easy points, but I would like to see them behave less predictably and more aggressively. The AI in the game are supposed to be equipped with the same weapons as pilots, but it feels like they're throwing marshmallows at you, or at worst sneezing on you. I guess this is an appropriate time to mention the gun balance and weapons. Okay, I'm going to say this once, this is nothing like Battlefield, and this is not as comparable to Call of Duty as you might think, and thank fuck for that. First-person shooters of late have become gun porn, bloated by an impossible amount of gun customization. Sure, for some games having tens of thousands of possible setups is really appealing, but Titanfall isn't the kind of game that really would benefit from a system like that. Aside from a few tweaks that need to be made here and there, this has to be some of the best weapon balance I've played in a long time. There's only been one weapon on everyone's nerf list, and that's the Smart Pistol, which automatically locks onto nearby targets, but even that isn't as game-breaking as it sounds. It has been designed to only be effective within a particular range, but the area of the screen that the lock-on box takes up should also be reduced, so anybody using the Smart Pistol needs to be looking more directly at the target. At the moment, it seems like you can lock on whilst facing 45 degrees to your target. Besides that, there's a great range of weapons to suit every playstyle. My particular favourites are the SMGs, the R97 and the car. Just because Titanfall is such a fast-paced game, the close quarters nature of the SMGs encourages me to stay mobile and to use the parkour and terrain to close the gap on my enemies before taking them out. I want to talk a little about burn cards. Burn cards are temporary perks in the game that you get for completing some of the 960 challenges. A burn card could be the ability to call in a Titan straight away, a buffed or, as the game calls it, an amped weapon, infinite ordnance or an XP boost. You can have up to 3 burn cards in your hand per match, and they are used whenever you spawn in, so you can only use one each life. Also, you can only have so many spare burn cards in your deck before you have to start discarding them to make space for new ones, so there's always that dilemma of what do you keep and what do you discard. I love this feature of the game. It feels rewarding to earn some of the better burn cards, and they can give you the edge when your team needs it the most. I will point out as well that, unlike the kill streaks in Call of Duty, a single burn card will never decide the victory for one individual or team. It's an incredibly well implicated system and a feature that I enjoy using. Finally, I just want to talk about the generation system. Generations are this game's equivalent of prestige in Call of Duty. So once you've levelled all the way up to 50, you have the choice to regen. This is where you sacrifice your level, as well as all the unlocks and completed challenges, to start again at level 1. There's several unique challenges to complete per generation, before you can regen onto the next. For your efforts, you're rewarded with increasing XP boosts with each generation as well. I guess it's a feature that gives more longevity to the game, as well as awarding the player with bragging rights each time they regen before their mates. Keep an eye out for my regen diary, where I'll be talking you through my changing experience of the game and stats for each generation. So, just to sum this all up, Titanfall is an incredible and original title, one that I can see spawning sequels. I hope Respawn Entertainment managed to keep it fresh and not turn stale like other FPS franchises that have lost their spark over the years. I'm going to be playing this a whole bunch for the coming months and posting as many videos about it as I can. Time permitting, that is. Its fanbase or community is one that has come together for the first time from Halo, from COD, Battlefield, all sorts of places, and I look forward to seeing it grow and being part of it. I want to thank you all for watching. If you want to support the channel, please leave a like and click the subscribe button. See you soon, YouTubers.